on the fireside chat with me today is Rachel, and we're going to be talking about communication skills and the tips on how to improve your communication skills with some very interesting strategies and tips that Rachel has to share with us today. So, Rachel, tell us a bit about you. Let's get to meet you.
So my name is Rachel. I'm an introspective communication coach, which means that I help people use self-inquiry and mindfulness to improve their communication skills. Thinking about it as I am the common denominator of all of my interactions, all of my relationships. So the place that I should be focusing on to improve them is myself. And so I help people do that, reframe their fears, overcome and manage social anxiety, all under the frame of introspection and mindfulness. So I got started in this because I was really bad at it.
Oh, you were bad at communicating, right?
Horrible. I was a people pleaser. I still am to an extent. And I realized that, like, along with reading a lot of articles, I was like, okay, boundaries. Okay, got it. YouTube, got it. Reading articles. And I was like, I want to talk to someone about this. I have a personal problem. And I would love to just talk to someone other than a therapist. I wanted to talk to somebody who is trained and skilled and would work out these socially anxious problems that I felt I had with communication.
So let's talk about communication, right? So communication is a skill, and it's really not just about talking or writing, like a lot of people think. I can write. I write documents, I talk to people, or that's communication. What really is communication?
The general but argued definition of it is a transfer of one internal world to another. It sounds very transactional, but it couldn't possibly be, because we're not robots. Humans are imperfect, so communication is imperfect. And at some point, communication is whatever we as individuals define and practice it as. It's a very subjective thing, in my opinion, because I recognize that we're not robots, and you can't just like beep, boop, beep, run the empathy program, and now I'm an empathetic human. No, these are skills that need to be taken on and practiced and implemented in real time. And also understanding that if it's in our internal world, then that's where communication lives and will be expressed from. So that's where we should be focusing on. There's a lot of different definitions for it, obviously. But I think when there's issues with communication, which of course there is, and respect of other people's opinions and perspective and all these different things that people run into, I think one of the things that get in the way are all of the things that are memories of the past and our anxieties of the future, right here, right at the surface. And we either suppress them when we're in an interaction, saying, okay, don't say that, say this instead, say that, I should say this. The internal chatter gets in the way. Or we just blurt it all out and then regret that too. Say, listen, it's either one or the other, but it's an identification that whatever is going on in our lives will come up one way or another. So understanding what's happening is really how I interpret communication and interpret helping others shift their frame around communication.
All right. So let's talk about the different types of communication. So we have verbal and the nonverbal communication. So, that's where some people, they're saying something, but they're acting out something different. So, based on your experience and, what you do, can you enlighten us on, the two types of communication, which is verbal and nonverbal communication?
I'm not a communication expert as communication in an industry. I am an expert at myself. I communicate. And that's what I teach people. I teach people to be an expert at themselves and therefore improving their communication by default. What's verbal? Okay, words. That's semantics. The meaning that we place on words. The meaning that we place on words is usually by the listener, not the person who said it, which is where things get interpreted and there's misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And then nonverbal is, the body language and all that stuff. But what it actually is our brains, the things that happen after an external event, the meaning and the foundation and the beliefs and the inner dialogue that's happening. And then there's feelings that are created from our thoughts about that said external event, said something happening. And that's where our nonverbals live, the subconscious interpretations of something, and then the implicit biases that will happen, and we just add it all on, and then eventually words might come out. And that's where the verbal is coming into play. But the nonverbal, God, there's like trillions of things in neurotransmitters firing off when something happens or someone says something or I say something and I'm like, wait a minute, that didn't sound right. And then anxiety over trying to either course correct or do damage control afterwards. And then verbal and nonverbal, as in, what's spoken and what's not spoken.
Spoken, yeah. All right. So you have some metrics that we could use to help us be better at communication to basically keep the conversation going. Yeah. So your first metric is intention. So how can we use intention to make sure that we keep our conversations going?
Intention. I mean, where are you trying to go? Like, you're in the driver's seat of a conversation. And if we're out of control, like our inner dialogue is in the driver's seat, good Lord, you're not going to know where you're going. But intention has in like, what am I doing at this event? How did I end up in this conversation? Am I here to meet a whole bunch of people, or am I here to meet one person and have a relaxed, chill conversation, like no pressure? And having that intention in mind helps us steer the conversation or interactions any way that we choose. If we are trying to meet a lot of different people, it benefits us to be mindful of our intention, saying, hey, I was trying to meet a lot of people tonight and mingle. It was so great chatting with you. I hope to keep in touch. Or if you don't want to keep in touch, you say, it was so great chatting with you. I'm going to go mingle with some other people here tonight. That's my strategy for utilizing intention. And being honest about it is really important, because if you're dishonest, that's also at the top and forefront of your mind, trying to suppress whatever the truth is. Not going to go very well. So being mindful of your intention and letting it guide you throughout the conversation.
Right. Fantastic. So how does confidence play a part in, getting better at communication?
If you are in the driver's seat of your conversations, then if you're driving a car, probably know how to drive a car. If you all of a sudden get put in front of a 14-wheeler or 18-wheeler, then you're going to have a little less confidence naturally. It's not. The meaning that you put on confidence is just that, meaning. You can shift it into thinking, okay, I'm just new at this, and I don't have to be an expert communicator in all situations.
Yeah.
Nor do we have to be, because as we evolve, we learn different information about ourselves and about others. And so having a confidence is really about a competency to navigate conversation regardless of the situation you're in. And that's a self-cultivated thing.
Yeah.
It's not transferable. It happens every time you're in a different phase of your life or situation. So confidence comes into play, and it's not this overarching thing. It's made up of many different things, right? Confidence is not just like, oh, boom, playing the confidence program now, like, I've got it. No, it's cultivated, and it is self-awareness, self-referential, self-advocacy. If I get into a tuffle with somebody in a conversation, am I confident enough to be like, hey, don't talk to me like that? And it's not a big deal. So confidence, is huge, but a myth about it is that it's transferable. As you learn communication skills or to improve them.
So you're very big on, mindfulness, in helping us become better communicators rather. So tell us more about, using mindfulness, which is really just understanding yourself and your mind and, leveraging that. So tell us a bit more about using mindfulness to become better communicators.
Continuing to draw on the mindfulness, because I tend to lose it because it's second nature to me to improve mindfulness, which is not maybe mindful of other people. But when it comes to communication, for me, like a sound bowl is a really great. I'm trying to think of like how I actually use like one thing and it directly connects to another. And one is like a mind meditation of the sound bowls, because it's the dum, and then it makes you listen to the whole thing. And that's where like you're focused on that sound through the whole thing until it ends, and then there's another one. That improves your listening skills immediately, and because you're focused on that one thing happening. And so then when you're in an interaction with somebody, you can just focus until they finish the sentence. You don't have to do anything. A conversation, if somebody's talking, it's not really about you.
Yeah.
There will be mind chatter. It's an act of suppressing that mind chatter and allowing your thoughts to come and go, which they will anyways. It's not a perfect science.
Yeah.
There's no shutting it off. There's management. And so the sound bowls, for example, are one of my favorites because I have to listen to the whole thing, and then another one will happen as soon as my mind chatter starts coming back. So it's letting the dust settle and then bringing myself back to present. And so doing that in a conversation is the same thing. Someone will say something and I'm having tons of dialogue about it. Oh, that's really interesting. I want to interrupt and say more, or ask me something right now, or I don't know anything about that subject. Holy shit, I'm stuck. Letting it express and continuing to listen and check in. So that's how mindfulness in a direct way helps me.
How does introspection actually help us to become better communicators? And this is something that, something that you speak about, and I can relate with that because, you need to also, look into yourself and, ask yourself, some questions and find a way to become better, because it starts with the awareness, right? That I need to be better at communicating, right? And, listening and, understanding that it's not just about me, it's about the other person that's also speaking to me. So how does introspection help us to become better communicators?
So introspection is a practice of self-inquiry.
Yeah.
And like I said before, it kind of draws back. If I'm going to transfer my internal world through verbal and nonverbal communication to somebody else, it serves me to understand what I got going on, what's going on in my brain, in my life, and in this time. If your mind was a hallway and there's lots of doors, introspection is peeking behind each of those doors. What do I think about chocolate? All the way up until, do I believe in an afterlife? And where do all of these things come from is also a benefit of introspection. Is this thought mine? Or did my dad say this 20 minutes ago? Or did my dad say this 20 years ago? Like, where are these things coming from? What are my core values? What do I believe in? What do I believe in about the world? What do I believe in about others? And all of these things are how we interact and live through communication, the verbal and nonverbal. All that comes through.
With communication, a very vital part of communication is listening, right? How can we adopt, great listening skills to make us, better communicators?
What is active listening in the first place? Like what is that? I believe there's just listening, and there's being, there's being great at it, and there's being someone who can improve. There's no bad no bad listeners. And the reason that there might be a bad listener, you believe that you're bad at listening, is because there's a lot of mental chatter going on, and you can't let the dust settle in your mind so you can take in what somebody else is verbally and non-verbally communicating with you or trying to communicate with you. And then responding to it effectively, asking a follow-up question. It's a very intimate thing to listen. And if we're afraid of intimacy for whatever reasons, would break that down, then we'll be afraid to actually listen to somebody and actually be heard and stop whatever's going on in our own heads and make it about the other person.
Asking great questions also makes you a great communicator, because you want to make sure that, when you hear someone, they say something or they show you by nonverbal communication, you want to clarify, you want to make sure that, tell me more, those kind of ways that, you ask why, just to make sure that whatever they're transferring to you, you understand that and you clarify it. So how does, asking good questions help us to become better communicators?
What is a good question? And breaking down your intentions again. Are you trying to get something from someone? Are you trying to direct the conversation? Are you trying to, or are you just there to be present and listen? And I believe that there's just asking questions, and there's just intention behind the questions. Two things at play. And a good question or a good interaction or a positive interaction will be a positive question, a question that shows the person that you're understanding, or that you listened, or that you haven't listened and that you want to understand. So you might say something like, tell me more. There's your way of going about it that is very subjective. And so my questions will be different than anybody else's questions. But yeah, so asking good questions is really your interpretation of what the person is saying and the direction that you want to move the conversation in.
So when we have the intention for our communication, and, we're confident, and, we're mindful about what we say. When we listen, we ask good questions, where we're sort of steering the conversation, or we're communicating the right way. So how do we exit the conversation? How do we make sure that we've communicated effectively? We heard them, they heard us, and we can say that communication has happened. How do we sort of exit from that communication?
How do I know that communication has happened? Is me showing you that I learned I understand what you've said. I'm giving it some thought. I'm repeating it back to you. And now I'm going to take some time to thoughtfully answer.
Yeah.
So that's literally how it works. You can do that and be like, and I would feel good about ending the conversation saying, it was so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'd really like to go get a coffee. I don't know. And thank you. And so ending it with, my intentions were to have a positive interaction. I don't need to stray from that. I need to maintain, and I can be mindful of having a positive exit by saying something positive and not rude. Don't be a dick.
Right.